Hello, I'm Paul Brubaker. I run the communications department for Paterson Public Schools. It's a new year. We have a new Board of Education. Pretty much 3 commissioners were sworn in at the Board of Education's reorganization meeting on January 2nd, and all of them had served on the Board of Education previously. So with them, along with the other continuing commissioners, there's a wealth of institutional knowledge on this board. And there is new leadership on the board. At that same meeting, the board elected a new president and commissioner, Kenneth Simmons. He will be serving a 1-year term in that leadership role, as is tradition. Board President Simmons agreed to be interviewed to talk about the year ahead and to allow us to get to know him a little bit better. So what you're about to hear right now is that interview. So let's get to it. I am talking with the newly elected president of the Paterson Board of Education, Mr. Kenneth Simmons.
Good evening.
Thanks very much for being with me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So before we begin to the heavy duty stuff or anything, why don't you tell folks, who are you and what do you want people to know about you?
I am, number one, a lifelong resident of Paterson, product of the Paterson Public Schools. I'm a father. I'm a uncle. I'm a brother, a son. I'm a Patersonian.
How many kids you got?
5.
5?
5.
You don't look like you're old enough to have 5 kids.
I appreciate that.
So my oldest is 30. All of them products of Paterson Public Schools, went on to college. Oldest daughter graduated from Syracuse. My youngest daughter graduated from the University of Bridgeport. So my oldest son right now is in the University of Maryland.
Wow. All right. So you're actually at the finish line. A lot of us other parents are trying to reach with at least 3 of them now, right? Okay. And
At least 3.
Yeah. And now 3 of the other 2 or?
The other 2.
One right now is taking classes at Passaic County Community, but making plans to transfer up to Johnson & Wales.
Terrific. Oh, very good. All right. So with all those responsibilities, I'm going to ask you the questions. Why serve on the Board of Education at all? You were just elected president, but why serve at all? What's in it for a person? Yeah, I'm not going to say what's in it for you, but it's kind of what I'm asking.
So I was coaching football. And part of my process and part of my requirement was that students were doing well in school. So I had to see progress reports. I had to see report cards. And what I noticed was students were having difficulties. So from there, we established some tutoring at practice. But then I wanted to be a part of the solution. And I've been here ever since.
So can you describe a little bit of what the role is of being president? And how is it different from being a commissioner on the Board of Ed?
Really difficult question. I'd say first and foremost is making sure that you manage, because there's 9 people, there are 9 different personalities, right? And managing those personalities, but also kind of managing the board's relationship with the superintendent. And that's first and foremost, because as long as that relationship is good, no matter what the goal is, we can reach the goal, as long as that relationship is strong and as long as that relationship is good. And that's not to say that there won't be differences. My mantra for this year is we over me. Everything we do has to be about we and how we get to the finish line, because we're moving towards local control, and how we make the district stronger, how we produce lifelong learners and productive citizens.
I might know the answer to this question, but I want to hear your answer. What do you think is the biggest challenge of the year ahead?
Moving to local control, I think we're on a steady path. But budget is always a big issue. And getting people to understand the budget process. So while I, as a commissioner, and I've been here for a long time, I understand it. Sometimes it's difficult to explain it, particularly when you look at the possibility of raising taxes and the board actually hasn't done it. Has done it 3 times in 30 years, and so it's trying to get people to understand that we also have a responsibility. So we can say the state has underfunded us, which is true, but what was our part in that? And so if you look at where we are in terms of collecting taxes and where we should be, trying to get that message across becomes difficult. And then trying to manage through doing more with less with all of the cuts.
That seems to be the unofficial mantra of the year. I mean, in many ways, Right. Nevertheless, there's still good news coming out of the district, and I want to hear from you. What I think what folks would like to hear from you is just what is it you want people to understand most about Paterson Public Schools? Whether they live in Paterson or somewhere else.
So if you just look at the history, I love saying I'm a product of Paterson Public Schools, right? Growing up in an urban center, odds are supposed to be against you, but we have a lot of success stories, and so I think people often, when they think about Paterson, unfortunately, a lot of people, and although it was a great movie, a lot of people refer to Lean on Me. They use that as their point of reference, and we're much more than that. If you look at our IB program, if you look at HARP, at one point, the #1 school in the county. So we have a lot of successful stories. We have a lot of students going to college, going to 4-year universities. We're much more than what the press focuses on, or people associate what goes on in the city with what happens in the school. And a lot of times people, and I have this argument with, a lot of the groups that are out trying to stop violence and doing those things. A lot of people have a difficult time separating the adults from the children. And it's not, for the most part, it's not our children that are out doing the bad things. For the most part, our children, our students are studying and participating in sports and just being kids.
Mm-hmm. And more often than not, bad behavior is learned behavior. Right. And so as long as they're learning, they might as well learn the good stuff and everything. So you mentioned it before, but let's talk about it. If all goes well, we're months away from restoring local control to this district. What is that going to mean to the families and the students of this district?
It means you have a say in what happens. I mean, not that they don't now, but you own it. We own it. And we have to work together to make sure that we sustain the progress, that when we're continuously moving forward and making the district better.
As we make this interview available to the public, what do you want to say directly to I'm tempted to say the voters, but what do you want to say to the families and the students of this district?
We're working hard. We are trying to make them proud. They're entrusting their children to us, and they're entrusting us to make decisions that will affect them, sometimes negatively, but most of the times in the positive. But because I don't like to sugarcoat it, and I think people appreciate that. But we're open. We would love more support, because again, it's about we. And I'm a graduate of Eastside High School, and we had a mantra there: all us, we. So it's about all of us doing what's best, for we.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we wrap this up?
I'm excited about this year. Becoming president. Something I've been looking forward to. So I'm excited to lead the board, especially as we move to local control. And when I first got elected, my goal was to get the district to local control, and here we are, months away.
When were you first elected?
In 2010.
Okay, all right. So you have earned your stripes.
Yes.
Yeah, this has been a decade long, for you. Yeah, I mean, when we talk about 30 years of state control, a third of that was your tenure on the board.
Yes.
That's a really good way to put this in perspective.
Yeah.
President Kenneth Simmons, newly elected president of the Paterson Board of Education. Thank you for taking a few minutes to talk with me.
Thank you for having me.